Okay, we would still start from these three courtroom truth-seeking tools. So as we have already discussed in any testimony and in any description of this of an event, we would have these four types of risks or four potential sources of unreliability. So because of that, and then when a person comes to court, and then we would say we need to use these courtroom truth-seeking tools to expose these potential sources of unreliability. So we have discussed, and then if a Bill claims he saw Adam pull the trigger and shoot down Charlie, and then Bill has to be in court, and then he has to take an oath, and then his demeanor would be observed while he is testifying, and of course he would also be cross-examined by defense counsel. By testing Bill with these three tools, we believe we would have this opportunity to expose these potential sources of unreliability. For example, if we are concerned about this perception problem, we are concerned whether Bill actually saw clearly it was Adam, not a different person, who actually committed the killing. And then in cross-examination, defense counsel can ask Bill how far away and you were from the scene of the shooting, and what was the lighting on the day of the time of the shooting, and then what clothing Adam was wearing when you saw him pull the trigger. So if Bill could not answer these questions clearly, and then if on the witness stand and his demeanor would demonstrate he was not that confident in whatever he was testifying, and then the jury would take those into consideration in assessing the credibility of Bill's testimony. So that's why we need to use these three courtroom truth-seeking tools to examine the person who is providing the testimony. And then it is important for us to remember why we need these three courtroom truth-seeking tools. From this point, and then we are going to come to the discussion why in evidence law we have this rule against hearsay. So we know the issue is still Bill's statement. He saw Adam pull the trigger and shoot down Charlie. So if Bill would make such a statement, and then he must come to court to testify so that he can be tested by the three courtroom truth-seeking tools. But if suppose Bill would not come to court to testify, and then he would ask Sam to come to court to repeat what he said to Sam. Meaning is, suppose maybe Bill actually told Sam, Bill made a statement to Sam, I saw Adam pull the trigger and shoot down Charlie. And Sam would come to court to repeat this statement. So Sam would come to court to testify, Bill told me that he saw Adam pull the trigger and shoot down Charlie. We know Sam here is repeating what he heard from Bill. So Sam's testimony would be hearsay, because Sam is testifying not about what he personally saw, but about what he heard. So we know that is a hearsay evidence. So this hearsay evidence would be prohibited. It's not going to be admissible. Sam's testimony would not be admissible. And then we need to examine why we would not accept hearsay evidence. The reason we would not accept hearsay evidence is because the court cannot examine Bill by using these three courtroom truth-seeking tools. Bill made this statement. So Bill should be responsible for this statement, whether this statement is a true statement or whether that is a false statement. Bill has to be responsible for that. We know if a Bill would come to court to testify, he has to take an oath. If he would deliberately make a false statement, and he would be liable for perjury. And then he would, that is a criminal liability, and he would have to bear. But if suppose Bill actually made this statement to Sam in a restaurant, while Bill and Sam they were eating burger in a restaurant, and Bill just told Sam, "Oh, I saw Adam pull the trigger and shoot down Charlie." So where did Bill make this statement? Bill made this statement in a restaurant. So even though this statement would be a false statement, Bill would not have to bear any liability, because if in a restaurant, in a setting outside the courtroom, a person can say whatever he wants to say. It doesn't matter. There is no liability, and he can lie, and he can make a false story, and he can tell a false story. There would be no liability. Right? So Bill made a statement in a restaurant, and if he would not come to court to testify, and then if he would send Sam to come to court to testify as to what he told Sam, Bill would not have to take any responsibility with regard to whatever he said. So we know this oath would not have any effect on Bill. And of course, if a Bill would not come to court to testify, the jury could not observe Bill's demeanor, and then the jury would not be able to tell from Bill's demeanor whether he is telling the truth or whether he is telling a lie. Of course, Bill would not be cross-examined by defense counsel, and then the defense counsel certainly could not really expose these potential sources of unreliability with regard to Bill's statement. We know Sam comes to court to repeat whatever he heard from Bill. Sam, of course, would have to take oath, and Sam's demeanor would be observed. And of course, Sam would also be cross-examined. But that really would not accomplish anything, because Sam is not the one who made the original statement. Sam was not the person who claimed he actually saw the shooting. The statement that Adam actually committed this killing, that statement was made by Bill. So Sam would come to court, of course, and he would take oath. But Sam would not lie. He would be telling the truth, and he would say, "Bill told me he saw Adam pull the trigger and shoot down Charlie." So the Sam would not lie about that fact. He actually heard the statement from Bill, but the issue is whether Bill's statement is a true statement. And then we could not examine Bill. So if we ask Sam to take oath, and that really does not make that would not accomplish anything. And of course, defense counsel could cross-examine Sam, but defense counsel would not accomplish much by examining Sam. For example, defense counsel may ask Sam, when Bill actually saw the shooting, how far away Bill was from the scene of the shooting. What could Sam say? Sam would say, "Well, I don't know. Bill did not tell me." And then the prosecution would say, if Bill claims he saw the shooting, Adam did this shooting, and then on the day of the shooting, what Adam was wearing. And then the Sam cannot really answer the question, and Sam would also say, I don't know, because Bill did not tell me. So we know by putting Sam on the stand to repeat whatever he heard from Bill, and then we simply cannot examine this Bill. He made this original statement. We really cannot examine Bill to understand whether that was a true statement or whether that was a false statement. So that's why we have this rule against hearsay. Because if this hearsay is permitted, and then the court would be deprived of this opportunity to examine the declarant of the original statement. So we know here we need to examine Bill, because Bill made a statement claiming Adam committed a murder. So Bill must come to court to testify so that he would be tested by these three courtroom truth-seeking tools. So, but if you send another person but if Bill sends another person to come to court to repeat his statement, we know the court would not be able to examine Bill as the person who made the original statement, whether this statement is a true statement or not, and whether what kind of potential sources of unreliability we would have with regard to this statement. So that's why we have this rule against hearsay. The person who made this original statement must come to court to testify. The person simply cannot send another person to come to court to repeat whatever he told that person in an out-court setting.